and with Q&A. Unfortunately, I'm still in the hospital. I thought that I would be discharged by now, but apparently I still have to be here for a few days. So uh, Robert is with me, like last time.
Hey
He's
guys.
going to he's going to be the moderator of this Q&A. He will get your questions that you post live, and I'm gonna answer them. So first of all, we're gonna wait for more people to tune in to the Q&A. We have 2 viewers at the moment, 3. Hey guys, how's it going? It's great to have you here. By the way, how loud are these crows? Can you hear them?
Yeah, I can hear them, but they're not too bad. I can hear you better.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm sorry about this, but I think it's better than a bunch of old people talking in the hallway. Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So it's not 1 p.m. yet. We're gonna wait uh, a little longer for more people to queue in. Guys, if you want to post questions live, you can do so under the event page under the video, or you have the Q&A option inside the Hangout. So use both options. We will keep an eye on both of them, and we will get all your questions. Of course, you can also send questions on email. I'm gonna monitor those as well, but I will answer those last. I'll take the questions you post on the event page first. All right. I think we can get started, Robert.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right. Start with number one.
Okay.
Okay. So Theo asks, what do you recommend I do if I couldn't perform the last set of an exercise using the Shred Smart routines? I
Hmm.
was doing incline bench 3 sets, 5 reps, each at 200 pounds. I couldn't complete the last rep of set number 3 without a spot. Is the weight too heavy, or do I just forget about it?
Yeah, good question. So you are all familiar with the way the Shred Smart routines are set up. It's a linear periodization where each week you decrease the reps, the number of reps by 1, and you increase the weight. And then the fourth week is a deload week, and then you reset the cycle. So he asks, what do you do if you couldn't complete the last rep of of an exercise, of a set? What do you do? Do you reset the cycle? Do you have to deload then? What do you do? Um, well, you if it's just 1 rep at the last set, you don't worry about it. You can just continue the periodization as it is. Next week, you can increase the weight and decrease the reps by 1, because 1 rep that you completed and you use the spot is fine. It means that the weight is not that heavy for you. You can still handle it, and you can increase the weight next week and perform the periodization as planned. Now, if you lose 2 reps in the last set, or you lose a rep in the second and third set, then it means that the weight is too heavy for you, and you need to keep the weights the same for next week and reduce the reps by 1. So you keep the weight the same, you reduce the reps by 1, and you do this until you restart the cycle. Because if you lose more than 1 reps, it means that you started the cycle with weight that were too heavy for you, and you need to cut back a little. All right.
Okay, great. Um, oh, I gotta remind you guys, yeah, keep posting questions in the sidebar as you go. Anything you want, I will get to those after we get to the ones we had planned ahead of time, or I'll funnel them in if they're relevant to the question prior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next question. This is actually one of the ones I was asked last time that we didn't have time to get to. Why are there no ab workouts in the Shred Smart program? Do you have a section on your preferred ab workouts?
Yeah, good question. um I have found, first of all, some a personal story. When I first started working out, I was obsessed with abs. Actually, abs were the only thing that I wanted, and I used to train my abs every day for about 20 minutes, and all sorts of crazy routines, P90X, those 8 minutes, 15 minutes ab workouts from YouTube, a lot of hanging leg raises, a lot of ab workouts in general. And what I noticed is that they made a very small difference in ab development. The main thing that you need for abs is a low body fat and overall muscle mass. I have found that over the last 2 years, I have trained abs very sparingly, maybe 2 3 times a month, and I really haven't noticed any difference. What I have noticed is that if you get big and muscular in general, you will have abs. If you are big and you have a low body fat, you will have abs even if you don't train directly. Now, and also if you do squats, deadlifts, chin-ups, standing press, bench press, those exercises will develop your core musculature by themselves, and usually direct ab training is not necessary. I think there are very few people that need to train their abs um, directly in order to develop them. And also, if you only train abs without developing your whole body, you won't be able to grow that muscle. I don't know why. I'm sure that you have never seen a skinny guy that has big bulky uh, abs, because it doesn't happen. For some reason, ab development is limited by overall muscle development. So you are better off focusing on growing your big muscle groups, and abs will basically take care of themselves because they are there to as stabilizer muscles. And this is the reason why I haven't included any ab training in Shreds Month. But you, of course, you can still do them. You can train abs 2 3 times a week if you want to.
Okay. Next question. We'll go back to Theo again.
Okay.
In a previous Q&A, you stated that anyone over 40 should increase the amount of protein they consume to 1 to 1.1 grams per pound's body weight. I'm having a hard time eating that much protein. Do you recommend I supplement with protein shakes? Also, what is the minimum amount of protein I should consume, being that I'm over 42 years old? Let's start with the first one. Should he supplement with protein shakes?
Yeah, good question. Yes, if you cannot hit your protein intake using solid food alone, you should definitely include protein shakes, because hitting your protein intake is important. It's very important. It's second in terms of nutrition. It's second after hitting your calorie intake. So having a protein shake or two a day you can easily increase your protein intake by 50 grams, and you will hit your ideal intake for muscle growth. Now, for the second question, what is the minimum you can eat and still grow? We are talking about uh, about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight would be to maximize muscle growth. But you will still gain muscle even with a lower protein intake. Most people think that if you go below your protein intake, the ideal protein intake, you will stop building muscle. Period. So you are basically wasting your time in the gym. That's not true. You can still gain muscle even with maybe half the ideal protein intake, but the rate of growth will be slower. So in order to maximize results, we recommend for you to get about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If on some days you cannot hit that, that's fine. On those days, you may get maybe you will not get the maximum rate of muscle growth. You would get maybe 80 90%. So it's still the muscle growth is still there, but if you are consistently under the recommended protein intake, you will compromise muscle growth a little bit. Now, for you being over 40, what would be the lowest I would recommend you go? I think 0.9 would be a good lower end.
Okay. That was a good one. All right, so let's go to, sorry if I butcher this name again, Bjark. Bjark asks, I'm a swimmer. I normally swim in the morning before work. Do I need to take BCAAs before swimming if I'm doing intermittent fasting? or is it better to have a high protein breakfast after swimming and then fast for 6 to 8 hours?
All right. So I'm assuming that he works out after swimming. Probably.
Yeah, I'm assuming from that question.
Yeah. Yes, I think that any type of activity that lasts, that is moderately intense, that is any intense exercise that you do fasted, you should take BCAAs before that. So yes, I think 10 grams of BCAAs before your swimming session in the morning would be a good idea. Now, if you have a high protein breakfast afterwards, that's a fine way to do it. That's also fine. You can have a high protein breakfast afterwards, but you would not be fasted anymore. You said there that to do 6 to 8 hours of fasting after the high protein breakfast, you would not be in a fasted state anymore, and that's fine. Actually, if your schedule doesn't allow you to place your workouts somewhere in the second part of the day when you are in the fed state, you can give up on intermittent fasting and have breakfast instead. It's not Intermittent fasting is not necessary for you to get lean. It's just a way to make eating a calorie deficit more enjoyable. So if that actually makes your life harder because you it's difficult for you to have a high protein breakfast in the morning, then you can stop in intermittent fasting and just have food before working out, and just making sure that you're in a calorie deficit, because you will get the same results anyway.
Okay, great. I think that another thing we should probably talk about here, if you have any quick tips on how to get the most out of your workout in the morning, how to get the most of your workout when you work out in the afternoon, and maybe in the evening too. Like, if you're working in the morning, what would you do? How to get the most out of that?
If I had to work out in the morning, I would actually have a protein shake before working out. This is how I would personally do it. So let's say that I would get up at 6 a.m. I would be in the gym at 7 a.m. Right before working out, I would have a protein shake with some either some carbohydrates in it, so about 30 grams of carbs in that shake as well, or maybe a banana or a piece of fruit. So you also get some carbs along with protein. There's research that shows that about 30 grams of protein combined with 30 grams of carbs provide the ideal macros to maximize protein synthesis and workout performance. So you can also work out fasted, but then you need to have something to eat right after that, because if you don't, research shows that you compromise the rate of muscle growth a little bit. Now, again, it doesn't stop muscle growth completely like most people think. It's not a wasted workout, but if you're trying to maximize your results, then delaying your post-workout meal is not a good idea, especially if you delay it for 5 to 6 hours. So what I do if I work out in the morning is I would have that protein shake before I worked out, and then I would not eat immediately after working out. I would wait maybe 3 to 4 hours, and then I would have a main meal somewhere around lunch. I would also have a snack maybe 4 to 5 hours after that, and then another big meal in the evening. This is how I would set it up. Now, if you can train in the second part of the day, I would use intermittent fasting. I would fast 4 to 6 hours after waking up. I would have a meal, then I would wait 2 3 hours, work out, have another small meal or a snack, and then a big meal in the morning. Or you can have the snack before working out. So you have maybe your first meal around noon, then you wait 4 to 5 hours, you have a small meal or a snack, then you go work out, and then in the evening you have a big meal. And if you train in the evening, you can you can uh, you can train pretty much whenever you want and have a meal after that. You can even train. Actually, you can even train even after your last meal, because all the nutrients that you ate during that day are still in your bloodstream. Digestion takes a lot more time than most people think. Most of your nutrients will still be in your bloodstream. So you will actually be able to start protein synthesis with the nutrients that you already ate. You don't necessarily need to eat right after working out to get results. Yeah, this is how I do it.
Okay, great. Okay, we got another question from Theo.
Okay.
He asks, what is a realistic time horizon to lose 8 pounds of fat to achieve 10% body fat? So like how long would that take basically?
8 pounds?
To lose, 8 pounds down to 10% body fat.
Down to 10% body fat. That's a good question, because how fast you can lose fat depends on how much fat you currently have. A good rule to go by is, when cutting, is to lose maximum 1% of your body weight per week. So you can see that if you weigh 250 pounds, you can lose 2.5 pounds per week, and you're fine. But if you're 150 pounds, then that would come down to 1.5 pounds per week. So considering that you are close to 10% body fat, or relatively close to relatively lean, I would say that you should focus on losing 1 to 1.5 pounds of fat per week. So you're looking at 5 to 8 weeks, something like that, depending on how aggressive you want to cut.
Okay, great. Let's go to the next one. And that is Kevin. Looks like Kevin asks, I noticed that Shred Smart doesn't use RPT.
Yeah.
What is the benefit of straight sets in this case?
The benefits of straight sets is that they allow you to accumulate more volume without so much fatigue. Intermittent fasting is a style of training that focuses on high intensity. You train very close to failure, and because of this, the volume that you need to do is reduced. You can create the training stimulus with a lower number of reps. Now, I noticed that a lot of people were plateauing on those programs using reverse pyramid training, and I think the main reason is because they were pushing too hard. It was the same for me, and also I noticed that once you hit the intermediate level, you cannot progress every week for several months. That's just not realistic. I have never seen someone do that. Let's say that you reach an intermediate level, you cannot possibly increase the amount, increase your strength week by week for months. With reverse priming training, if you do not include some sort of periodization, there will inevitably have bad workouts where you lose reps, where you are inexplicably weak, and then it's frustrating because you just have to build back strength, and then you can start progressing again. What I wanted to do with Shred Smart is to create a periodization model that allows you to get stronger with a plan. Every week, you have a goal of reps and weight that you need to use, and that fourth week as a deload is some sort of a reset for you to avoid having those bad workouts where you cannot explain why you are weaker. And I think reverse planning training is a great style of training. I used it for 2 years, and I built my physique with that. But I think at this point, you would be better off if you used some sort of periodization in your workouts, because after you hit the intermediate level, I don't see how you could possibly progress week to week for months. You will inevitably have those bad workouts where your strength goes down, and then you have those strength fluctuations, and you get frustrated. So using straight sets, you can accumulate volume easier. You can accumulate those heavy enough reps that cause hypertrophy. And even if you don't work as close to your maximum, you will still create the training stimulus required for strength and muscle gains. And I think that your progress will be much more predictable and less frustrating. That is my experience and what I noticed with when chatting with you guys on email and comments.
Okay, great. Ayush, I see your question over there in the corner. I think Redu just answered that as well. He was asking kind of the same thing along the line
Okay.
of RPT versus progression.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a quick plug. We're nearing a halfway point before we're going to start talking about future business because we do that at the end of all these Q&As. If you guys weren't aware of that, so just a precursor to that. We are moving into we're gonna have an event later this month or early next month, somewhere around that time, called Testosterone Week, and during this, we're gonna have a lot of high quality content every day, promoting or kind of teaching you guys about testosterone. So if you guys that are watching this right now would like to put in on the sidebar your questions about testosterone, we can try to answer those here. If not, then that would give us a super good idea of what you guys want to know that week, and that might help us kind of tailor that week, especially to you. I just wanted to make sure you guys were throwing those in there while we're talking. But for now, on to the next question. So we got Ross here. Okay, so Ross asks, oh, it's a long, here you go. I started my weight loss journey around 4 years ago. After 2 years, I lost 100 pounds and reached around 20% body fat. I achieved this doing high-intensity interval training and running. However, the past 2 years, I've been desperately trying to reach 10% body fat so I can start to bulk, but can't seem to get anywhere close. I'm 34 years old and 5'8", and currently 24% body fat, but I've been fluctuating between 17 and 25% over the past 2 years. I feel like I've been cutting forever, but I'm struggling to be consistent. I seem to stick to it for a short while and then end up binging. My hunger seems to be out of control at times, and when I binge, I just can't stop, even though I know I'm undoing all of my hard work. I have been using intermittent fasting for around 3 years, and I'm currently following aggressive fat loss nutrition program. I work out 3 times per week using the Greek God workouts, and I walk regularly. What advice do you have? I definitely identify with this one, so I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Wow. So you lost 100 pounds, and at the end of that cut, you were 20% body fat. So I see that you had a lot of fat to lose, and great job getting there. I mean, losing 100 pounds, I can even imagine how that must feel. What big of a change that must be on both your physique and your psychology. If you haven't seen my last video, I think that answers your question perfectly. I think that your main problem is not a physiological problem, but it's mostly a psychological problem. Because if you are currently at 24% body fat, your body is not the one that creates your hunger. You still have a lot of energy reserves. You're not in danger of dying of starvation. You don't have a lot of metabolic adaptations in place. So I think that your self-image and your paradigms, your habits are the main issue here. Robert, could you mute your microphone? I can hear myself twice. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I noticed that you are aware of that as well. You want to binge, even though you know that is undoing your progress, and that's tricky. I follow a lot of Bob Proctor's material, and he talks about how we are really not in control of ourselves, but our behavior is mostly controlled by how we see ourselves in our mind and our habits and our paradigms that we have developed throughout the years. And he says that the part of us that knows is not the part that controls our behavior. Just like in your case, you know that you should be in a deficit, you know that you shouldn't binge, but still you do it. And it's incredible. It's like, why can't we control ourselves? We know how to do better, but we just don't do it. And the reason for that is because our habits are actually in control of ourselves. The way we see ourselves is what controls our results, not what we know what to do. So the way for you to finally get to the sticking point is to convince yourself, is to change your self-image into into your goal physique, because then the actions you will feel like doing will be disciplines, will be sticking to your diet. You will no longer have the desire to binge, because you will want to get to that image that you see in your mind, that new self-image. And if I was to talk to you face to face, and I ask you, how do you see yourself in your mind, you would probably tell me that you see yourself the way you are now, which is good, because you probably no longer see yourself as you were 1 year ago when you were 100 pounds heavier, but you probably don't see yourself leaner than you currently are. And think think about this: if you do not change your self-image, then succeeding, if you were to get lean, if you were to get to 10% body fat right now, that would mean an identity loss. You would no longer have, you will no longer feel like yourself. And because of that, you do not do it. You unconsciously don't want to get to 10% body fat, because that would change your reality basically. So what you need to work on is on changing your perception about yourself, and changing your paradigms so that the actions you feel like doing are disciplines. I highly recommend that you watch my latest video on YouTube. It's called how to um, what was the title?
How to stop cheating and get lean for good.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I basically talk about how your self-image controls your behavior, and how you need to, and why you need to change it in order to actually stay lean.
Yeah, I highly recommend that video as well. It is actually, it's not about eating or lifting really. It's about the whole shebang, everything, and it's getting some of our best feedback that we've ever gotten. So definitely check it out. If you guys aren't interested in that think side of fitness, you should be. You should start getting into it, because it is a unique take that we go at here at Think Eat Lift, and a lot of people don't appreciate it. A lot of people don't really understand, and I think that's something that's unique and great about this that you guys need to tap into.
Robert,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you your story. How you said you identify with that? What did you change to get in?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I guess I haven't really introduced myself at all to you guys. Just kind of a precursor to this. I am writing a post introducing myself to the audience. It'll be out this month sometime. Kind of my 1 year transformation from where I was. A lot of my stuff had to do mentally, and that's why I appreciate being involved in this business so much. But 1 year ago in August, I was 180 pounds, 5'10", and I wasn't doing too great in my mind either. Right now, today, not even a year later, I am 149 pounds, just about to finish a cut. So big time fat losses, and I've gained strength the whole time. So basically, what I did was I got dumped basically by my ex-girlfriend, and I kind of had a wake-up call. I got really complacent when I was dating her, and I got fat, and I kind of hated myself a lot during that whole period, and had for a couple years. And basically, in terms of fitness, though, what I changed was I was working for Test Shock at the time, Anabolic Men. If any of you guys have heard of it, I was working for them, writing and marketing. And I wanted to put some of their philosophies to the test. And so what I started doing was I started intermittent fasting, and I started doing the 2 meals a day thing. I was hitting around 1,800 calories a day, mostly Chipotle and smoothies, pretty enjoyable. But I ended up losing the majority of that weight I lost in the next month and a half to 2 months. Pretty quick losses. I don't think that's the healthiest way to go at it, but it was very effective. And then kind of over the next few months, I started to work on Kinobody, Greek God. That was, and warrior shredding as well. I started warrior shredding, then moved to Greek God. And that's when I started making the biggest fitness gains in lifting. I got pretty strong, pretty relatively strong for what I was doing. And then I started working for Think Eat Lift earlier this year. And then I started making real progress. I started actually seeing what that stuff can do. I started diving a little more into the strict, rigid fitness program. Radu had me doing the Shred Smart tactics well before it was released, and I've seen great results from those. I'm about to finish my first major cut on Shred Smart, and it will be monumental for me. It'll be the first time that I've seen my abs ever, which is a big deal to me because I ran for 6 years. I was a 425 miler in high school, 935 2-miler. I was really fast, really thin, but I could not see my abs. I still had that high percent body fat. I thought that burning all those calories was the way to do it, but a lot of it has to do with eating. I never really understood it. Never really did strength training, and the fact that all this has come together in the Shred Smart program for me is pretty big, and I love working for a company that I can actually get behind and believe in, because I can actually put to practice, put to work all the stuff that they preach. So yeah, that's kind of my story. If you guys have any questions about that either, throw that in there, because you guys have no idea who I am. I'm just this random guy. So go ahead and ask.
So basically, you first had to have some motivation, basically getting done. So you wanted to improve yourself,
right?
And second of all was an approach that allowed you to cut in an enjoyable way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was focusing a lot on testosterone increase because honestly, I knew from what I was doing, what I was writing, that I had pretty low testosterone. I could tell I had a lot of chin fat. I had gynecomastia, which is man boobs, basically. I had a lot of fat around the hips, and those are kind of typical indicators of low testosterone, because your estrogen is storing your fat in those places, kind of female, womanly places. So I kind of pinpointed those problems, and I was like, hey, I definitely need to fix it. So I was kind of doing, higher protein, higher carb, kind of intermittent fasting style thing. I didn't even really know I was doing intermittent fasting until I kind of learned a little bit later what that was. But that's what I was doing. I totally was waiting until about 1 or 2 to eat, kind of fasting in the mornings.
Yeah.
And that was mostly, actually, the reason behind that for me at that time was completely testosterone based. Because cortisol and testosterone are complete opposites, raise cortisol, you lower testosterone. So I knew from my research that when you eat in the morning, your body kind of shoots you with cortisol in the morning to wake you up. And when you eat at high cortisol, it lowers testosterone more than eating normally does. So I was just avoiding breakfast because of that reason, because I didn't want to eat with high cortisol. And I would drink the black coffee as an appetite suppressant just normally, just to kind of push off eating for as long as I could, until my cortisol was good. I was relaxed every time I eat, and I definitely recommend that, because the weight just kind of shed off me when I was taking that kind of take on intermittent fasting. So I recommend that highly. But basically, all it was I was at a weak mind, the entire freshman year of college. A bad relationship, and once I got out of it, I started seeing myself in a different way. And yes, I did really need that mental stimulus in order to push harder, and I really wasn't in a place mentally where I could do an unenjoyable eating regimen. And what intermittent fasting offered me was a way to kind of eat what I wanted. I drank what I wanted to, and still lose weight, as long as it was in that calorie range.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and one last thing before we move on to the next question is that testosterone really is inversely correlated with body fat mass in research. Testosterone doesn't create fat loss directly. It's still about calories, but apparently high levels of testosterone affect hunger, affect how much you move, affect your ability to build muscle. So all those things actually increase your calorie expenditure, which makes getting lean easier and makes storing fat harder. So that is the reason why a higher testosterone usually comes with a lower body fat percentage.
Right. The exact thing that I think you're looking for here. I know testosterone correlates with insulin sensitivity, and that's kind of what gauges how you store fat, how easy it is to store fat, how much of what you eat is stored as fat. And testosterone is really good for a healthy insulin sensitivity, and that's why it is important. It's like that hidden thing in fitness that people don't really understand. That needs to be high in order for you to kind of optimize any fitness program you do. That's that. All right. Want to go on to the next question?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll go over to the sidebar now to your questions that we've gotten during. Let's go to Orestes. I've been doing strong lifts 5x5. I've been doing it for 3 months, and in my 3rd month, I've started noticing I'm feeling weaker and not hitting my PRs in a while, like 3 weeks or so, especially on flat bench. I think he's looking for some sort of advice there.
Oh, so he didn't actually ask a question.
No, he's just it's kind of just like a scenario, probably just advice.
Okay. He said that he just started lifting.
He's been doing he's been doing the 5x5 strong lifts for 3 months, and his 3rd month he's weaker, not hitting PRs anymore.
Yeah, because it's important to know for how long he has been lifting in general. Usually, strong lifts 5x5 is a great beginner intermediate program, but if he is more advanced, then getting to a point where strength progress is slower is normal. So if you're in your 3rd week of lifting, if you have just started, then you should be progressing still because you're a beginner. But yeah, without context, I don't really know what to recommend. I know that program usually works great for most people. It has enough volume at a high enough intensity to produce strength gains and muscle gains. Usually, most people on that program gain more muscle on the lower body because it includes a lot of squats and deadlifts. But it's also great for overall development. So if you can give us more context, I can answer your problem. I can give you some advice, some better advice.
Right. I think you hit it on the head pretty well with the beginner. Maybe just to kind of cover all bases, because I know a lot of people are like this too. Maybe he's not a beginner and he's more like an intermediate. He started doing strong lifts. He's doing the 5x5, and after 3 weeks of this new program, he's been lifting a while, and now he's just not hitting PRs anymore. Like,
so he said 3 weeks, not 3 months.
He's in his 3rd month, and he noticed that he hasn't hit. Yeah, he hasn't hit a PR in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it happens. I mean, if you are more advanced, if you're at an intermediate level, then you can no longer expect to hit PRs every session like you did in the past. But it is true that if you do not hit a PR for about 3 weeks, then you can consider that a plateau, and you need to implement some strategies to break through that plateau. Usually, a great thing to do is to break through a plateau is to change the rep range. Instead of doing 5x5, you could do maybe 4 sets of 8 reps. So you go with lighter weights and you decrease the number of sets to keep volume about in the same range, and that would change the stimulus a little, and it may give you that change, that small change needed to make progress again.
Okay, great. Before we move to the next question, remind you guys in about 13 minutes, 12 minutes or so, we're gonna move into future business stuff. So this would be the time, go and ask us questions about that, ask us questions about our personal lives, whatever. Just kind of future of the business stuff. Go ahead and ask that. Okay, next question. Can I recommend your Shred Smart program? This is from Ayush again. To my mom, who is 56 years old and looking to lose fat. Will it work for her?
All right. Um, the nutrition side, of course, yeah, that's the same for everybody. She can use those calculators in the program to set her calories, and she can definitely use the diet structure and the food choices recommended in ShredSmart in order to create that deficit in an enjoyable way. Now, the only difference when getting for women is that some of them may not enjoy intermittent fasting as much as men do. For some reasons, females seem to do a little worse with fasting, especially in the morning. They may not be able to go 6 hours without food and function as well as men. Some women report feeling hungrier, feeling fatigued, or like they have brain fog. They cannot concentrate, or some of them may even be in a worse mood because they haven't eaten for so long. So um, she can definitely do ShredSmart, but advise her to tailor the approach to her preferences while keeping in mind that the main thing she needs to focus on is hitting that calorie deficit, because that will create fat loss no matter what else she does.
Okay, great. Let's go on to Carlos. He said, "Oh, this is a good one. Isn't standard protocol better than intermittent fasting for muscle gains? I know the most important thing is calorie surplus, but isn't it more optimal to have a continuous intake of calories for protein synthesis, energy, etc.? What do you think?"
Yeah, there hasn't been. This is an area that hasn't been directly researched, because we do have studies on intermittent fasting, but those are usually with a form that is not designed to fit well in a training program. Usually they use alternate day fasting, or they use or they we have studies on intermittent fasting without training, and there are no studies that looked at, for example, lean gains, where you still you do intermittent fasting, but you place the meals in a way that you provide protein at the most important times of the day, before your workout, after working out, and you still hit the overall macros. What we know for sure is that intermittent fasting works just as well as conventional diet for muscle maintenance and in a calorie deficit. Actually, in a calorie deficit, it may be actually superior for muscle retention. For muscle growth, I couldn't say which one is superior. From what we know, they are equal. Now, providing multiple meals in a day that contain protein seems to be the superior way. For example, I don't think that 2 meals per day would be ideal for muscle growth. Maybe 3 meals a day or 4 meals a day would be better, but you can still do that using intermittent fasting, if especially if your workout is placed in the feeding window, where you basically between meals, when you have nutrients in the body. Um, so the standard protocol is it better than intermittent fasting? I would say I would say they are equal. I would say that hitting your macros, your total macros during the day, is the thing that matters most, and other things matter much less.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, before we move on to the next question, I actually have a question. So basically, we've been seeing this, or I've been seeing this a lot. Greg O'Gallagher, Kinobody, gets this question, tons, and he gets a lot of hate for this as well. And I've noticed that we've started getting questions about this in our YouTube comments and Facebook comments. And that's like the difference between vegan and meat eating,
Okay.
when trying to gain muscle and stuff, the type of protein that you get. So what do you think about that? Like what's the difference? What's the benefit of animal protein versus protein from vegetables?
Okay. First of all, I want to give a disclaimer that I haven't studied this topic in depth, but I will tell you what I know from everything that I studied so far. So research clearly shows that animal protein performs better for muscle growth than vegan protein for some reason in research. For example, they compared um, a shake of whey protein with a shake of soy protein, and in all the studies that I've seen, whey always outperforms soy protein for some reason. So there, in terms of protein quality for muscle growth, animal protein seems to be better. I think that the main reason for that is vegan proteins have the amino acids are not ideal it is not there. You will see people saying that they are not complete. All proteins are complete, but some amino acids are lower in vegetable proteins. So, for example, BCAAs, which are considered the muscle the most important amino acids for muscle growth, they are much more present in animal protein than they are in vegetable proteins. And vegans, for them to mac to get they need to combine their protein sources in an intelligent way to create complete proteins for muscle growth. That is why it's usually recommended that they get a blend of rice and pea protein, because those complement each other very well and create something that it is referred on the internet as the vegan's way. And I think that you can get equal results with eating vegan for muscle growth, but it's harder because you need to pay attention that you really I'm not that educated on this topic, but I think that you can get awesome results with vegan bodybuilding. You just need to put more effort in it, and you need to cycle your protein sources so that you get a complete amino acid profile, basically. Did that make any sense, or did I ramble a lot?
No, I'm kind of in agreement on that. But I'm never gonna neg any vegan stuff. I took a class on religion and animals this this last semester, and it was really interesting. So I'm never gonna get mad at a vegan or anything. But I was just wondering the difference.
No, I actually admire vegans a lot because it's so much harder to eat in a vegan way, and there's a lot of research that shows that um, growing animals for meat and for dairy products is really bad for the environment, is much worse than transportation. And actually after I saw those I saw that evidence, I started eating less meat in my diet. I started including more dairy and more protein from vegetable sources, because I think that each of us needs to make their own contribution to the environment. The stuff I've seen is not good. If we continue with our normal lifestyle like we are now, we are basically destroying the planet in about 50 years, based on the data that I've seen, that we basically are going to cause the planet to heat up by 2 or 3 degrees, and that's bad. That is really bad. That basically offset. Interferes with the natural balance of the seasons and plants and all that stuff. So if we can reduce our carbon blueprint, basically pollute less, then we should do that. And eating less meat in the diet is a good way to do that, because it means fewer animals are killed, and that means less impact on the environment, basically.
Right. My little contribution ever since that class has been I cut chicken out of my diet, just because I learned like the way chickens are treated, and it sounds kind of weird, but it's funny to think about the number one in terms of suffering, the number one company in the world in charge of eliciting the most suffering in the world is Kentucky Fried Chicken. So
Really?
yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah, I actually when I got my surgery, I was in a room with a guy that had surgery on the same day as me, and he told me that he worked in a slaughtering house in the Czech Republic, and the stories this guy told me were bad. Yeah, he worked in a chicken farm, and uh, he told me that you would enter in a big warehouse about the size of a football field, and the ground would be white because there were only chickens there on the ground. They didn't even have a space to move, and they would put them on a conveyor belt and with their head upside down, and a knife would come and cut their heads automatically. It was bad. No,
Yeah, I can't. I can never give you on that. So, yeah, we went on a little tangent there. Sorry, guys, but it was all for fitness. We'll cut the business talk a little short at the end. We'll answer two more questions.
Yeah.
So next question, we got two more. Hey man, it's from Derek. What's your thoughts on bulletproof coffee in the morning before training?
Bulletproof coffee. So that means putting butter in your coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I know that bulletproof coffee is a brand of coffee, but I'm not sure that if and it's the one where you put butter in it. But I think that they're separate, right? They don't sell the coffee with the butter already in it. I think you have a choice of putting the butter or not in it.
Yeah. It looks like there's butter. Yeah, it's butter and some octane oil that they put in there.
Okay, yeah. So if you use their coffee but you don't put oil or butter in it, I think that's fine. That's like any other brand of coffee. But I wouldn't recommend putting fat in your coffee. Why would you? It doesn't help you. That guy, what's his name? David Asprey or something like that. Asprey. I don't know exactly his name, but he's one of the biggest scammers in the fitness community. I wouldn't believe anything that company promotes. Bulletproof coffee, the bulletproof diet. No, don't do that.
All right. Wise words already. Okay. Next question. Why does incline press? This is from the conspiracy dude. Why does incline press hurt my shoulder, but overhead and flat bench do not?
I had this issue as well at one point, but it was only temporary. I was actually pressing too low on the chest, and that was putting my shoulder in a natural position, and it caused pain, and I couldn't. To get rid of it, I had to stop incline benching for about 6 weeks. I don't know why exactly it may cause you pain. Yeah, there are a lot of reasons for this, and I haven't studied biomechanics as much, and there are a lot of things that could cause you pain. What I would recommend you do is check if your form is good, which you probably already did. Check that you're not pressing too low on the chest. Too low, I mean, when incline bench pressing, the bar should be somewhere around here. If you bench at the nipple line like you do on flat bench, that is too low on the chest. So you shouldn't do that. Another thing that could be is that you try not touching the bar, your chest with the bar, because if you stretch your pecs too much, that may also cause pain and may hurt your shoulders as well. Except for that, I wouldn't know what to tell you.
Okay. Yeah. I gotta say that that's not uncommon. My dad has shoulder problems, and it only hurts him on incline press. So just know it's probably a pretty common issue. I wouldn't worry about it too much, but definitely try to find your own solution. We'll go one more question because it's from Carlos and he asked a lot of questions.
Okay.
Do you think it's a good idea to train for 4 days a week? I know you always defend training 3 only, but is there a place for a 4-day training like ABCA or ABAB?
Yes.
He's gotten good results from 4-day training. Do you think there's a place for that?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, in the ShredSmart, the intermediate advanced routine is a 4-day split. Yes, I think that when you want to increase volume, adding another day of training is a good idea, because it's better to spread your volume over more days than to have really long workouts. Because with each additional exercise, the quality of your reps decreases because you accumulate fatigue. So there was actually a study that looked at a group of powerlifters that did the same amount of volume with the same weights. Some guys were training 3 days a week, and the other group was training six days a week. So basically, they were doing half the amount of volume, but spread on more days. And the guys that train 6 days per week with the same amount of volume actually gain more strength and muscle. Apparently, for them it was better it was better for recovery than 3 days per week. Now, of course, those were elite powerlifters. It was the national team, so those guys were doing a shitload of volume in each session. It's not something that most beginners or intermediates do. But once as you get more advanced, I think that and you start doing more volume, it's better to spread it out throughout the week over more days than to cram it in only 3 days. And also something else, if you want to develop your legs, your lower body as well to your maximum potential, I think that 3 days per week is not enough, personally. And this is why most guys recommend training 4 to 5 days per week, because it has an upper and the lower body split. So you train your upper body muscles and the lower body muscles with the same focus. You want to grow them as much as you can. In the Kinobody philosophy and with our philosophy, we are not focusing on the lower body as much, and this is why you can get optimal results with 3 days per week or 4 days per week. But if you wanted to maximize leg development as well, I think that you couldn't do it in 3 days or 4 days per week. Or in 4 days you may be able to, but 5 days I think would be ideal. Because think about it, in an AB split like the Greek God program, if you wanted to include a lot of exercises for legs, deadlifts, and calf raises, a lot of lower body exercises, you couldn't do it because you would have to put them in the same day with chin-ups, with bicep curls, with rows. It just doesn't work. So you need an extra day for legs if you want to maximize their development. Now, of course, you don't necessarily need a day strictly for lower body, but to include more volume, you need probably an extra day because you would get better results.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So we have 4 minutes left, so we're gonna stop fitness questions now.
Okay.
Keep submitting them. We will answer them first next week. Right now, if you have any business questions, we'll answer for like 3 to 5 minutes. But basically, update on how we're doing in the business. As you can see, Radu's still in the hospital, which is a major bummer, but he's on his way out. Also, so for month of July plans, we are hoping to get to be able to beta test the app maybe today, the Think Eat Lift app. Hopefully, definitely as soon as possible. Hopefully today. But we'll have that, and we'll be keeping you guys updated on how that's going. And that's going to be free, and you guys will be able to use it in the gym, and it's awesome. I can't wait to use it. Another thing, later this month, we will be doing Testosterone Week, which is going to be 7 days of content in a row. So big stuff. Hopefully, like video and post for each one. Just to educate you guys on testosterone, what it can do and stuff. And we're partnering with Anabolic Men, which is a big company, very good company that we're excited to partner with for a week. And I think you guys really enjoy that. Go check out their site if you want. And then submit questions to us on the priority support line that you guys have here in the comment section, and we'll try to answer those as well as possible. Other things we're working on. Oh, t-shirts. I've got those ideas rolling. Ready to show them what you're wearing right now.
Yeah, so I'm wearing the.
Yeah. One of my favorites for sure.
This is one of the designs, yeah.
Yeah, we're working on like 3 to 4 designs probably for the initial release of the shirts. Hopefully, we can get them high quality material. You guys can wear them in the gym, work out, and we can get those to you as cheap as possible and as soon as possible. Hopefully this summer, hopefully this month, but most likely sometime this summer. Other things we're working on planning right now whether or not we should. We were just talking about it before you guys got on the call. We're talking about maybe another web series, kind of like Muscling In, but a different area of life. But we're still working out the kinks in that. You guys can let us know what you think about that or any of the ideas we have. And we're not perfect. We're not geniuses. So if you guys have any ideas of stuff we could do, content we could cover, shoot us a link. Shoot us some suggestions. We'd love to read it and get ideas to kind of tailor the business to our audience. So, yeah, I mean that should bring us right up to it. We haven't gotten any business questions, so I must have covered it all super well. But yeah, that's fine. And yeah, so if you want to sign off now, we can get to any questions. Oh wait, Ayush threw he threw in a little comment on the vegetarian stuff. He said, Ayush said, I am a vegetarian. I've built all my muscles from whey shakes, which is a derivative of cheese byproduct, and I have made pretty good gains. So it is possible. So that's cool. If anybody's wondering about the vegan vegetarian stuff, that's not vegan, right? I think, but it's vegetarian. So that's a good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think vegans don't eat whey either.
They don't eat whey, but vegetarians, I'm sure that's possible. There's tons of protein sources from animal byproducts. For that input, that should help some people.
Yeah, vegans they do have protein shakes made from vegetable sources, rice protein, pea protein. I know there's hemp protein. I think that the only way you can include enough protein in the diet as a vegan without without overshooting your fats and carbs is if you include protein shakes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's sign off. We got to talk with our app guy coming up now, so we got to get going. But yeah, great questions, guys. We look forward to next week. I always love doing this. So.
Yeah. All right. See you next week. Hopefully, I will see you back at my studio, my new studio. I actually moved in with my girlfriend this week. Actually, she moved in because I was still in the hospital, and I got a room only for my studio, which I'm gonna put some lights there. I'm gonna have a nice tripod with a camera, and I'm gonna increase the quality of these Q&As a lot. I'm gonna buy a good webcam, a good microphone. It's gonna be a lot better than it is right now. I mean, definitely a lot better.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Cool.
See you guys next week. Bye.